Good morning, everybody. It's Jim Feist in Las Vegas, and it's Joe Mack in New York City. How hot is it there today, Joe? Because it's roasting out here.
I know, it seems like we're a broken record every time we talk when we discuss the weather. But yeah, we're in the middle of another little heat wave. It's lower 90s here. I went to bed late last night. It was 88 degrees, and I said, you know what, that's not normal. It shouldn't be 88 degrees at 1 in the morning, but it was. But we're supposed to just get another day or so of this, and then it's going to cool a little bit. But I have to tell you, Jim, this has been one of the hottest summers that I can remember, and I have moved back into the New York City area for the first time in 30 years. And you know what? It is hotter in the city than it is in the suburbs, I can tell you that.
Well, yeah, and you got those big buildings, you don't get the breezes, and the humidity is just stifling. I mean, I watched the golf tournament last week where Tiger did a hell of a job, and Brooks Koepka is just an amazing golfer. What he did was, but you know, they were drenched. I mean, it was so humid, and the humidity here in Las Vegas, when I came here in Las Vegas in 1970, the humidity was like 4 to 6%. Well, the last 2 months, it's been like 40%. And, you know, that doesn't sound high to most people, but when your temperature is 110 to 120 and you got 40% humidity, it's pretty damn uncomfortable.
No, that's for sure. I've been noticing with the local football teams here, the Jets and the Giants, you know, I tune in, I catch whatever I can of commentary about them, and you see the heat wears on these guys. Now, the Jets have been playing 3 different quarterbacks. I'm sure we'll discuss that. So they're all getting a little bit of reps in practice, but you can see they don't want to push these guys too much. I mean, the heat humidity is so much that, let's face it, you can't have any more casualties like we had, unfortunately, at the University of Maryland this summer. So, you know, teams have to be smarter. The old days of pushing guys and no drinking water, that's out the window. And like I said, I've just seen from the local teams, they take their foot off the gas a little bit, the coaches and stuff. There's no need to drill these guys more than they have to. I mean, they're out there sometimes twice in a day, and sometimes they're out there on a football field when it's 100 degrees. You know what? That's a little inhumane. So anyway, it's everyone just has to dance around what the weather conditions are and everything. And like I said, hopefully at least for both you and I, we'll get a little break in it soon. But it's been a long, hot summer, and it's been a very uncomfortable summer in a lot of ways. And you know, we'll see how it all shapes out as we head towards the football season. Maybe we'll get a little football-type weather before long.
Well, talking about comfortable and uncomfortable, last night I know you had the total over in the Pittsburgh-Green Bay game, and damn, that was close. You almost lost that.
Well, as I said to you before we went on the air here, I said, boy, if anything could be that easy. But I was watching NFL Network and flipping back with the Jet-Redskin game, and every time I turned around, there was another score in the Steeler game, and heck, it went over before halftime. I know that. So that was nice to see, and you did have some big plays here, and you had a moment or two as I was writing in the column for Jim Hurley Network. You had a couple of moments with all these quarterbacks. I mean, I saw the one highlight where Rodgers ducked out of trouble. The Packer quarterback, you got in and out of trouble and threw it on the run. And you had a couple other quarterbacks take some shots. As we know, Nick Foles, the Super Bowl MVP, he got dinged up last night. I said, boy, there were a lot of teams holding their breath last night on certain moments. The Jets rookie quarterback, Darnold, got sacked once. He looked like he kind of went down on a ball. You know, these are very scary times for these teams. You know, these are major investments. Let's face it. We saw what happened last year when Rodgers went down, when he broke his other collarbone last year regular season. It just totally deflated the Packers season. I mean, didn't make the playoffs for the first time in years, and it was directly related to Rodgers. So these preseason games, I mean, I'm not breaking any news here, but I mean, when you wind up, you have to sweat out an injury to one of your quarterbacks in the second week of preseason, boy, that's rough, you know?
Well, it really is, and you know, with Philadelphia, they already have Wentz questionable for game one. You know, he's coming back from that ACL, and now Foles with the shoulder, and that hopefully it's not too bad. But, it's hard to have three quarterbacks that can play the game on your roster. It just doesn't work out financially to have that many big caps there. Big percentage of your cap go to that position. So, talk about the Jets. Three quarterbacks. McCown, who's been amazing, 39 years old, played really well last year. Jets did better because of that, I feel. But he's not their future. Bridgewater is playing very well, and amazing that he's come back from that injury he had a couple of years ago with Minnesota. And of course now you have Darnold, who looks very good. Now last night was a little bit off the rails, but a lot of things go into that. I didn't think there was anything really bad about what he did. He doesn't seem to panic. He seems composed. He's got a good arm. He seems to make good decisions. But he's young. It's going to take a while, as it is with Baker Mayfield up in Cleveland. It's the same situation. It takes reps. It takes a lot of experience. There's not too many guys like, Wentz can come into the league and just go right out there and knock it dead. But you have those three quarterbacks with the Jets that all of them could be, potentially all three of them could be starters. Now, granted, like I said, Darnold doesn't have any experience, but Bridgewater sure does, and McCown has plenty. So what do you do when you have three guys like that on your team? You would think you have to trade somebody and try to get some value to another position or even future draft choices. What do you think? What do you think they're going to do?
Well, I think what they wanted to do to start out this preseason, Jim, is I think this is exactly what the Jet game plan was. They want Darnold to get the majority of the snaps in practice, and then, as you saw, he started and played the first half last night. They want to showcase Bridgewater because they'd love to trade him, and as the announcers talked about last night, you've had two occasions now, one in each of the last 2 years, where a quarterback was dealt basically on the eve of the season to a team that was in need of a quarterback, as the Sam Bradford case happened with the Eagles a couple of years ago. So this is the Jets' game plan. They want Darnold to be their number one guy right from the start, from that opening night game in Detroit. They want Bridgewater to be good enough in the preseason and obviously stay healthy so they can get some kind of decent value for him. And they want McCown to basically be the babysitter for Darnold, and then God forbid if Darnold slumps or gets hurt, they know they have a veteran in McCown who can jump in here. Here's the problem so far, and it's funny. I read one article this week in a New York paper, and the guy, bless his heart, he had it right on the head. A problem that the Jets have is their offensive line is not very good. And people can talk all they want about Darnold and his prospects and his potential and his composure. It's wonderful. But the Jet offensive line is probably one of the worst 5 or 6 offensive lines in this whole NFL. And we saw him have to scurry out of the pocket a couple of times last night. We saw a pass get batted down because the pressure of the pocket was collapsing on him. That's going to be a major problem no matter who the quarterback is. And again, the Jets want Darnold to be their guy. But if the other teams, and we saw last night with the Redskins, Kerrigan came from the outside linebacker spot, blitzed a couple of times, got in his face. If you can't block him, if your backs are not, and interior linemen aren't blocking guys out, Darnold's going to be under siege right from the start. And when you think about it, week 1, as I said, they're playing the Lions on a Monday night game. Matt Patricia, the old New England guy who faced the Jets plenty, hey, he's going to have this guy bringing the kitchen sink. So the Jets want Darnold to be the guy, but he may not survive it if the protection is not good. And I like what I saw from last night for the most part. He did have a couple passes batted down. He took that one sack. Okay, he should have got rid of the ball. I think the Jets feel like, they're going to go straight ahead on the course and let him be the guy. But I think deep down they feel like, let's face it, if we were being fair about the competition so far, I think you'd have to say Bridgewater is a little bit better than him. And then you start wondering, well, do we have a better chance to win now with Bridgewater and let Darnold come in week 3 or week 4? Maybe by the trade deadline you trade Bridgewater. So the Jets have an interesting situation. And I mean, somebody wrote an embarrassment of riches. It is not an embarrassment of riches. These are not, I mean, maybe Donald someday will be a superstar quarterback. But right now, there are three quarterbacks fairly similar in their stages right now. And as much as the Jets want to hand it to Donald, I think he's got to show a little something in this next preseason game next weekend when they play the Giants. Otherwise, the Jets may be thinking long and hard and may say, you know what, maybe we'll start with Bridgewater and let Donald learn another couple of weeks behind him. But the competition, it's very close right now. I mean, if the Jets have already made their mind up that Donald's going to be the guy, then they'll make him the guy. But I think last night, to be honest with you, I think it confused the Jets a little more. I think they're looking at it. And, I mean, Bridgewater had 3 passes dropped. Otherwise, his stats would have been much better. I think if the Jets are being fast, Bridgewater right now is the best of the 3 options.
It depends on, in my mind, it depends on where they think they can go this year. I mean, you do have the monster up there in New England that is likely to win that division. Then the question is, are you good enough to even be a playoff team as a wild card? If they feel that, then, they probably have to go with Bridgewater and McCown. Because if you trade Bridgewater, you can get perhaps a lineman that could make that offensive line a little bit more palatable to watch. They're not very good. So I don't think you can carry 3 guys. I think there's a lot of value out there they could get from somebody. Some of those teams out there do need quarterbacks. And Darnold has potential, but I don't think that potential is going to come out, like you mentioned, with that offensive line. What about the other New York team, the Giants? What do they look like?
Well, the Giants, they're obviously thrilled with their first-round draft pick, Saquon Barkley, had that big run in his first run ever, 39 yards, busted a little move on the Cleveland Browns, did a little shimmy shake on him and went up the field. But in his other few runs that night, he really didn't get too far from the line of scrimmage. But they love his ability. They think he's going to be a game breaker. But let's face it, he already tweaked the hamstring on a practice throw the other day. They had the third-string quarterback, the kid from Delaware, Laletta, throw him a deep ball, and he had to lunge for it. He tweaked his hamstring. So they're playing the Lions. He's not expected to play. He did not practice at all in the 3 days of practice up in Michigan this week. But the Giants are, internally they're head over heels over this guy. They think they're going to give him the ball, as a runner or receiver, 20, 22 times a game this year, and that he's going to be not only a game breaker, but a guy that takes a lot of heat off Odell Beckham Jr. Personally, Jim, I think the Giant offense, as much as they look good on paper, they look like a fantasy league thing. I mean, if you're a believer that Eli Manning is going to have a bounce back year, but when you look at Beckham, you look at the tight end Evan Ingram, you look at obviously Barkley, they all look like, hey, these guys are like a great fantasy team. But again, the Giant offensive line, they're in a state of flux too. They've got all different guys. They've got 2 different guys from last year's unit, which did not play well, moving to different positions, including Eric Flowers, who they desperately tried to get rid of in the offseason. He played left tackle in the past, had problems with him last year, internal problems. I mean, he didn't even want to play a game or 2. He's been shifted to the right side, and I don't think he's looking great over there either. And they let their center, Weston Richburg, go. Now, it's not a guy that a lot of national folks are going to, hoot and holler about, but the guy was a very good, a B+ or an A-type center. He left. So the Giant offensive line's got some real questions, too. And let's face it, Barkley had that big run, as I said, in his first run against Cleveland, but his next 4 runs, he went nowhere, and that was because the offensive line got pushed right back by the Browns defense. So if that offensive line doesn't gel soon, they're going to have their own problems. To me, they're a 500-type team. I hear too many people overselling them as an 11-win team. I don't see it happening. Like I said, the offensive line could be a problem. You got to show me that these guys can all stay healthy. I mean, last year the Giants had a game where Beckham and Brandon Marshall, who's no longer on the team, they all got hurt in the same game. I mean, the Giants, they've got to show that this offense can stay healthy, and then defensively, they've got to show that their secondary is improved. Last year they were one of the worst secondaries in the league. So if I look at it now, I wasn't in love with the hiring of Pat Sherman. He's handled the New York media good so far. I thought he'd be a little bit uptight like Coughlin was when he first got here, but he's been fine, and I think he understands that, you know, he's got a real different collection of personalities here on this offense. He's kind of got to babysit Beckham a little bit and nurture him. But I look at them, and Jim, I see a 500 team. I see a team that's probably going to split their divisional games. That's got some, you know, they wind up playing the NFC South, which you and I have discussed over the course of the summer, different divisions. I mean, that's a rough, tough division. I mean, that's a division where the Giants might lose all 4 of their games to the NFC South. So, to me, they're 8-8. One other thing with them, a lot of people are already just figuring that Eli is going to have this bounce back year. You know what? I like Eli. He's had a very strange career in that he's got the 2 Super Bowls, but he's had a lot of bad games. He's had a lot of rather inconsistent seasons. To me, he's got to show me something, because if he's not the guy, you know, they've got problems, because that backup, I don't want to base everything on one game, but Davis Webb was awful last week, high and wide on all his throws, and none of their other quarterbacks on the roster anywhere near prime time material. So the Giants, to me, are an 8-8 team, fantasy elite. Guys and gals are going to love Barkley, Beckham, maybe even Manning, maybe Ingram, like I said, the tight end. But you know what? I wouldn't be getting ready for a parade down the Canyon of Heroes anytime soon.
Anything else in the league that you want to touch on? And by the way, you're with JimHurleySports.com and VegasSportsMasters.com. I don't know if you have any special games coming up for the weekend you want to talk about, but I know you had the winner on that total last night. I did very well. I had the Patriots and the Packers. So, and I got stuff on the JimFeist.com site and on Vegas Sports Masters as well. So everybody out there, for Joe's picks and my picks, you ought to go to those sites, JimFeist.com, VegasSportsMasters.com. You can even catch Joe on JimHurleySports.com. So we do have some stuff. Is there anything special you're selling for this weekend, Joe?
Well, really just planning on banging out winners as we see the schedule. You know, the games are kind of scattered out between Friday and Saturday. There's definitely games that we like. There's definitely, even in preseason, Jim, there's times that we look and we just sometimes think they have the wrong favorite. So we're going to keep pounding them out. Last week we had a solid week to start it out. As you said, we had the easy over winner in Steelers-Packers on Thursday night. We also had the Patriots, and that was an easy winner. So we're just going to keep pounding out and grinding out. Our goal, obviously, is always to be winning, but we'd really like to build up a decent profit in the preseason. And for anybody that says, oh, you know, you shouldn't be playing preseason, listen, we don't give out every game. We don't give out nearly every game, but we're going to give out a handful of games over the weekend. If we like it, well, less than a handful of games. And we'll go with whatever winning percentages we can come up with. So if we can bang out and grind out profits every week in the preseason, we'll be very happy to get through the month of August that way. And obviously we have the baseball too. We haven't forgotten that. So
no.
It should be a slam bang weekend one way or the other. You know.
There's some great baseball plays. There's no question about it. And it's you know, start of the football season is exciting. You jump into it. Preseason isn't something that you should get too excited about unless you have information like Joe and I can get, a little bit of insides on what coaches are planning to do, how many series the starter is going to play, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah, it's very exciting. I'm excited. Joe's excited. Go to those websites, JimFeist.com, VegasSportsMasters.com, JimHurleySports.com for Joe's picks and my picks. Joe, thank you very much for your time this week. Hopefully we'll get to do a couple of these next week as well, and we'll recap. And the baseball playoffs and the pennant races are very exciting. Lots of very interesting things going on there. So stay tuned, come back, and thank you for joining us today and listening in. Thanks, Joe.
Hey, Jim. Always a pleasure, Jim. Thank you.